I don't know. So today we have the governor's press conference at 12:30. That's fun.
I'm not going to listen to it, but you might say bad news instead of good news.
Plus or minus 10 minutes. I've set on the over-under is 10 minutes, so people bet the over and the under. I think that should be,
He can't be on time.
no. And it's,
It's 12:30. I'd say probably be 12:45.
see, we put the over-under at 15 minutes, and he came on like at 9 minutes after. So we moved the over-under to 10. So if you were going to put it up on DraftKings as a real live bet, it'd be the under is 10 and the over is 13 because I get both. I get 11 and 12 is my spread.
Are you fixing your spread, or is that just the way it is?
That's how I want to. I'm setting the line.
I see.
I'm going to start taking virtual bets. Wow, our cumulative percent of
1.9. We're still going down.
yeah, that's pretty good. So we're doing a lot more laboratory testing. The more people we test that are not symptomatic, the lower the percent of test positives will become. Resident positive cases.
I understand it's really difficult to get a test without the symptoms. I don't know that for a fact.
Well, I
I
think,
just hearsay.
well, like Marty had concerns that not all places were offering testing, free testing. Free optional tests,
The first,
including asymptomatic individuals.
which Berkeley and Jefferson County have both that areas have some hot spots.
Yeah, it's not, I don't understand. I don't have a good understanding of, I mean, from the health department's perspective, we are requiring someone present as symptomatic. But what we do is we send them to Camden, and they have to get in their computer system a referral. So I have to call my family doc is Dr. Brooks. I have to say, man, I'm not feeling good. And he'll say, okay, I'll set it up in the system for you to get COVID testing. Then I drive to the facility at the corner of Rosemar and Route 68, and they have me in the system. I stay in my car. They do the deep nasal swab, and then I know, but the problem is how fast will I know? Maybe 5 to 10 days. But right now, if this is because of minorities and more vulnerable populations. They went out and did all the nursing homes, but not the assisted living. And so
I think they're scheduled this week.
we did the daycares.
I think I remember hearing what you just said.
But it's not a huge amount of solace. And based on information, the number of deaths in West Virginia has increased to the tune of around 1,900 year over year. So you can't equate those all to COVID. So then you have to, who was it? A university study is saying, and they're breaking down by state, we think that probably between 400 and 800 may be COVID, but we don't have the scientific testing to prove it.
Colorado, when they initiated their move, it was 20% that were not.
So they jump up in the number of deaths. So in January, February, March, April, and May, we had X amount of population pass away, and last year, so we had an increase. So as I talked to somebody, their brother-in-law passed away in Cleveland, and they said he had chest pains the night before, and his wife and he talked about going to the hospital, and he said, I don't want to go get COVID at the hospital. He expired overnight. So massive heart attack. So the initial symptoms Sunday afternoon, he could have went to the ER, maybe had a life-saving procedure, but they were so nervous about contracting COVID, they didn't go. And so he didn't have COVID, but his death is probably a result of the decision he made. Maybe he would have died in the hospital, maybe not. I don't know. But are people avoiding healthcare situations? I don't know. And the studies, we're going to talk about this 5 years from now. And that's when we'll really see a truer picture of the number. I believe. But yeah, you can get tested if you want to drive all the way to Charlestown or Martinsburg or down to Bluefield. Beckley. May 15th and 16th. Oh, it's already over.
Imagine that.
May 22nd and 23rd will be Cabell, Kanawha, Marion, and Mon. Then Fayette, Kanawha, and Mineral. You would think Jefferson County would be popping up. Oh no, Jackson.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that.
So we'll have to contact DHHR and ask them when they're looking forward to adding Wood County into the free COVID testing. But once again, that's just a picture. If you have it right now, then you'll test positive. If I contract it tomorrow, and we're not doing antibody tests, that would be a good get. I figure probably around June, July, we'll start offering antibody testing to see if you had it. But then we're going to say that 30% of those tests are providing a false positive, that you really didn't have the antibodies. There were some emails that flew around about the CARES Act, and it said we were in line for $49,000.
Well, that was it. I think that was that Burns grant.
Okay, yeah. And we've authorized Tony Tiano.
Yeah, I don't know that she's agreed. Rick Woodger was gonna reach out to her to see about her administering grants.
That'll be something for Thursday's meeting.
Can put it
Is
on.
Mr. Rhodes in the building?
I'm
I
sure
saw
he is.
him.
Yeah, why don't you text him, see if he wants to join us so we can talk about early vote. Todd, I have to say I like the other room more than this room for this kind of setup.
Well, this brings us back into the 18th century. I sort of like it. I'm joking, of course.
Wow. Wood County, 10% were tested not black and not white. Other. Five others and 42 whites. Total 47. Hey, it adds up. Who knew? The DHHR website tends to lag. I think we're up to 50. 136 in Jackson. 210 in Berkeley. Berkeley County Commission expressing concern that Maryland and Virginia aren't opening at the same time. And they believe, and they saw it this weekend, a lot of people getting haircuts in West Virginia. Those West Virginia haircuts are the best, right?
My case was the first time since February.
Calhoun has fallen.
If you want one.
I got one.
No, you're all right, Bob. Come on in.
Morning, Todd. How are you? Morning, Blair.
Morning, Bob. We weren't going over the COVID stuff.
Marty. Sorry for this call.
Thank you. Got a lot of nice signs. Everybody knows it.
I do like that fixed. Your father's name.
So in Wood, we've tested these facilities.
Are they still testing, Blair?
We're moving on to assisted living next week, my understanding. The free screening is happening, but not here. The testing opportunities were listed on the 14th. Berkeley, Jefferson, Mercer, Raleigh, and they will do more counties in the future. There's Cabell, Kanawha, Marion, Mon, May 22nd and 23rd, Fayette, Kanawha, Mineral. So I'll email the health department and say we would like to at least get on a list.
I wonder if we should offer a site for drive-through testing.
That's what that is he's talking about.
Right, and so these counties, supported by the West Virginia National Guard, are conducting tests at Martinsburg High School, United Methodist Church, Bluefield State. But the other tests that's already happened. So Cabell, Kanawha, Marion are held May 22nd and 23rd, and then Fayette, Kanawha, Mineral, and locations to be determined and announced.
Well, I'm thinking maybe that drive-in facility we got on Dudley Avenue might be a good site to offer.
You're going to have people in the car. So the Horseshoe at PHS, or but we just have to get on the list. We're not on the list, and we were a hotspot county. So, and I'm concerned that Jackson County isn't on the list.
Of course, they're all the hotspot too.
Yeah, they just had a bunch of people get sick. When we talk about state comparisons, percent of population, population tested, we've tested a big percentage of ours. Positive tests are low. When we have a lot of our people getting tested that are not symptomatic, then our percent of positive tests will go down. But 2% of everybody that gets tested has it. And that, as he does those free testings, the number of tests administered will continue to climb. Number of positive tests will continue to decline. We did have a new case, and the contact tracing is really critical and shall be for the whole summer, I think. Continuously testing.
Is that based off 100, 1,000, or 100,000? That 2%.
This percent positive is based on the number of tests. And so they've conducted 75,000 tests, laboratory tests that have been confirmed. I don't know what the outstanding number of tests are. We just know that 2%. And there's our active versus recovered. 473 active, 919 recovered. So our recovery rate's going up, and our number of people positive is slightly decreasing. The labs have to report to the DHHR, and that's, I don't know all the labs. I think it's LabCorp, Quest Diagnostic, and then our own local hospitals and facilities have ability to test. But Wood County, we can't give a number. The target number of recovered has moved. So 3 days not symptomatic, a follow-up test. There's a whole variety of things they have to do to become in the recovered. But then that aircraft carrier, a bunch of people just got tested positive
People
again.
repeat.
Yeah. And Robin Waters, Judge Waters' son-in-law tested positive.
You know, this conspiracy like exists out there. I'm wondering, I read on Yahoo this morning where there was a church, I don't know where the church was, but had services last week, and somebody tested positive and they quarantined the whole church and everybody in the church. I'm wondering if that could be a plan too. If you were anti-church of some kind or another, you could destroy the church if you wanted to. It's not fair. You know?
Where the health department used to have a testing lab, do they not have one anymore?
No,
They don't do any testing.
they send it out. COVID tore through a Black Baptist church in West Virginia.
Is that where that was? No.
So this church in Friendship Baptist Church, 7 predominantly Black Baptist congregations in north central West Virginia packed a small rural church March 15th. Based on that, a lot of people, it was largely unknown. 90 to 120 came to mark Reverend Horton's 6th anniversary at the church in Everettville on the Mon-Marion County line. After that, they started testing positive. And that's why there's a push to test the African American community and break that down by race. But a bunch of 190 to 120 people gathered at that church for that anniversary party. They didn't know at the time, we didn't have it set that said,
I do know that some of the churches, I understand St. Margaret Mary's on Saturday night, they were at the door taking a count, and they shut it down when they had their max. And reading the one from St. X Church, you know, you're going to go in, you're going to get your temperature taken in, marked where to go in, seats are marked, and they want your name and stuff too. So I guess that would be retracing.
there's discussion of that at the hotel level as people come in that they
I wonder what motels are supposed to do about sanitizing the rooms after some people are there. I mean, that'd be a big job to sanitize the room.
I've been reading about sanitizers, the ones you see on TV with people spraying stuff, that's some kind of alcohol, and it kills all germs in 5 seconds and just dissipates very quickly.
Marriott had a big presentation of how they're sanitizing. But COVID tore through a Black church congregation, and the following day after that was when they announced a state of emergency.
Why don't you go to Yahoo and see what I was talking about since you're in there.
It was the same place.
Oh, yeah.
Question for Marty. Marty, are we requiring masks in the building to come in the building?
No, we put out there that we prefer, but we're not requiring it because we can't provide. But we are requiring social distancing, so if you do come into an office, as I'm looking in there at Sarah's office, and there's a gentleman in there getting a building permit, he's probably a good 10, 12 feet away from her. all the different elections set their, how they wanted us to mark the floors and whatnot, we did.
Sorry, folks. That's California.
That California? I knew it was
Yeah, but
something.
I wonder when they met. That's May 17th.
Yesterday.
Yeah, they were in violation of the state stay-at-home order. We didn't have it in place for our church. But that's a good article. And so that's why there's a concentration on getting to the black community to provide testing.
I read the requirements for opening a church back up was pretty strict.
Yeah, it sounds like
Sanitize the pews and the books.
is Mark coming in?
He didn't answer me, I'll try calling
Talk about the election.
him. Yeah.
Where we're at on poll workers and voting locations. There was a black church on the Marion County line that had a 6th anniversary for a minister. 80 to 100 people came together. Someone had it spread. It took out a lot of people, but it was the day before the stay-at-home emergency order. So through contact tracing, it took a little while to figure out where they were and what happened.
He'll be down in a few minutes.
Just, I'm gonna talk about restaurants, other people are opening this week too, but we had a staff meeting yesterday and invited everybody that belonged, and every one of them showed up. That really surprised me,
Yeah.
you know? And they all seemed happy to walk into the building, which even made me more nice, more
Do you have
surprised.
anybody that's refused to come back to work?
Then you write a letter and you tell the
Unemployment.
unemployment office, and they will be stripped of their unemployment.
Yeah, that was a overheard discussion at Big Lots on Sunday morning. One guy saying to the other guy, "Hey, I got a call back to come back to work, and I don't know if I want it." And the other guy said, "I'm not going to answer my phone." And then the first guy said, "They'll take you off unemployment." He said, "Oh, they can't do that." He said, "I know they can." But I also heard of a restaurant that said they're going to re-interview every person and give them drug screening.
That's here in town.
So way to get rid of their malcontents.
I forget which one that was.
The Galley in Marietta.
Okay. It's the gallery room, you're right.
But,
And they're doing that so they can discriminate.
well, they're doing that so they can fire people without firing. It'd be so much better if we didn't have Jack and Joe back in the group. And well, let's do this instead. We'll just interview everybody.
That's proper.
Yeah. Kind of how new electeds should handle.
Offices.
Yeah, so if you became the new mayor, you would say in December, I'm going to re-interview every department head. Department heads being political appointees of the mayor.
Of course, being the pay scale what it is, you're lucky to have what you have sometimes.
Or then you
Well,
have the opposite way and you wait till January 3rd and then you have to pay them a full year's worth of this and that and everything. The severance becomes very difficult. So Pat, how's court going?
It's going. You know, it's a little hectic. Everybody's trying to learn the new normal and trying to find their way through it today, but we're making do.
What are they doing with the jury? When they have a jury?
We don't know yet because we can't have any juries until basically July 1. So we still have a ways away for that.
You're talking about the prescribed regulations that have been thrown upon you.
Yes.
I think Marty's kind of held the black building over here.
Yeah,
In case
right.
you-
I think that's one area that we're looking at and potentially also, I mean, I don't think we've reached out yet, but maybe the city council chambers over.
Spacing would be what would get.
That's the big thing, yeah, exactly. Our courtrooms just aren't big enough to have the proper spacing.
We never thought that would happen.
Time to build a new courtroom.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Then you can't hold court over in Washington County. courtroom is spacious. The old one anyway.
The old one, yeah.
Well, what about the courtrooms in the old federal building?
The old federal
Those
building
things were
would be-
humongous.
That was a nice one. That was,
They've probably torn it out up there.
I don't know. It is.
Yeah, we went for a tour, what, about a year or so ago? I think you all went. And, yeah, they had torn it up.
That's a
pretty good.
beautiful
Yeah.
courtroom up there,
Mhm.
unless you're being tried there. I noticed they put a number on that entrance, and it was, used to be into the old social security office now.
Oh, yeah, I saw that also.
There it is.
There's a lot of people out on the streets, there's a lot of people out this weekend, my goodness gracious.
Yes, there was.
You know, we had 2 new cases on Friday.
Here,
Yeah.
Oh.
One on Thursday, but you can see if you look back in time, we typically have a lag over the weekend. We don't see. So today's cases, I mean, we've never had more than 3 in one day. 2 yesterday, 2 on the 16th. It says testing opportunities for minorities and other vulnerable populations and medically underserved counties. So maybe our percentage is too small.
How you doing?
yeah, how about yourself?
Yeah, much so.
So what's the state of the county, Marty?
Now, here's what we find out about the elections right now.
Awesome. Hey, Mark.
Hello, Mark.
What do you know about your poll workers today?
We've already had 2 called off this morning that said that they would work when we talked to them on Saturday.
So what's our number?
So we currently have, I think, 4 Democrat alternates set up, 3 nonpartisan alternates that are available, and about 20 Republican alternates. With Republicans appointing more than what the Democrats do in the first place.
Right,
So,
what's the totals?
Me for 5, I mean.
Yeah, you had 5 precincts you wanted to operate. You had a number of poll workers.
That would be 10 people at each one of those locations. It's going to take at least 4 clerks, 2 on the other side, 2 at the scanners, and then
So you're
4
saying
people
50.
activating.
Those are count, well, they will be there, they will do it.
Yes.
Okay.
So you got
And then on election day, I increased those numbers. So, you know, hopefully we can keep the flow of people moving through.
how many poll workers do you have for election day? Do you know?
Altogether, we've got I doubled the numbers in the precincts. But I'm also going to use some of my employees on election day.
But it sounds to me like we have enough poll workers.
We have enough poll workers at this point in time to handle.
Do we have enough to look at 2 additional precincts?
No.
And let's repeat for the press, since Todd's here cranking the camera, where the polling places are.
It'll be the Judge Black Annex, starting June 2nd, then it will be Lubeck Elementary School, Mineral Wells Elementary, Williamstown High School, and the Vienna Community Building at Jackson Park. And that will be for election day.
All the other poll places are closed.
Yes,
They're not gonna
filtered
work.
it, you can filter it, you can walk into any one of those locations and,
Did we have one at Mineral Wells on South Park?
Mineral Wells School, yes, sir.
Okay, thank
So it's their choice where they vote. They can go to any of those places.
Yes.
And that starts.
Starts May 27th.
And Marty, for the
It ends June the
Judge
6th.
Black
And
building,
then,
we're opening the parking lot for voters. Is that correct?
That's in all of those locations or just? the
yeah, it's
black-
election day, where all our employees will be off, parking should not be an issue at all. The black annex is from May 27th through to June 6th. The other locations are June 2nd through 6th.
By the way, the parking attendants over there chipping and picking grass out of the
Finally.
station joints.
Not by accident.
Really?
Fine. Getting our
First
money.
thing I thought it was a voluntary job.
Well, what size gloves would you like to wear? That's the question.
So you called all the poll workers on Saturday?
Yes.
Or did you just call the ones you wanted to work?
We called the ones that were through, and then we called the other ones we have set down for alternates. The parties were in here on Friday and went through the list and set the poll workers. So we called those, and then the other ones that had said they would work. Because some people said they'd only work election day. Some people said they would work both. Then we just made those calls for alternates because they have to be trained also.
Did you give them assignments of work, what they're gonna do at the
I kind of let them have their preference in the beginning, but there's some that, which locations they prefer to work, that way they agree to work. But there was a couple that didn't have a preference on there, so we just filled them in as we go. That's the reason I had the parties come in and do the selections. So it was not me choosing.
Okay.
we are getting in the mail-in ballots returned?
We have 9,811 as of Saturday. The return ones are 5,900 of the 9,000 that we mailed out.
Is there a record to be broken?
All absentees normally, and since the early voting started, on a presidential year, maybe 400 or so, 450.
So this is a record.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I said recently, my office is running to election. We're running a paper ballot election, and we're also running election day. I mean, most states have one or the other. And I think from what I understand, we're just about average with the state as far as number of requests that we've had for
When will those
absentee.
absentee ballots be opened and read and counted?
Once early voting starts, we can open those and go ahead and run them through a scanner also. So that way they're in election night totals.
Will they show as mail-ins?
Yes, it'll be two separate groups. We'll have we'll have three groups. We'll have election day, absentees, and early voting groups.
I think nationwide, there's sort of a cloud cast over paper ballots, absentee ballots, because of fraud. Have you or the Secretary of State's office done anything special to check on the security of these ballots?
Well, I think part of the fraud comes in is when ballots are mailed to everybody, whereas in West Virginia, you have to apply for an absentee ballot. So we only send it to the person that's applying.
And we do.
That's
we-
great, right there.
And we do signature check when he comes back, compared to what we have on record. And we've called several people and went, your signature doesn't match what you signed, but they registered 40 years ago, you know? So we've called them back just to say, did you vote? Can we update your signature? Is it more like your current signature?
Last year, well, when Blair and Donald, we went in county review, it sort of bothered me because nationwide they keep on talking about fraud, fraud, fraud. I'm saying to myself, if they ran things like we would run them here, and maybe the rules that have been set up, I don't see how they can have fraud.
There's always a chance for fraud, but, you know, somebody's gonna try to skirt the rules, but, you know, we do everything that we can to make sure that it doesn't happen.
One fraudulent vote would not make an election go anyway. Although there's been a couple elections in this county that's been won by one vote.
Yeah, especially if you look in the city council races where they may only have 2 or 250 people turn out to vote.
Yeah.
You know, some of those are rather close. I mean, my first one was only about 5 votes, so.
I got him by 18.
And I was,
18 smart people.
down when I walked in.
You know. So that's what I say. So we've had close elections here. That's one of those. You know. As I said, we have a lot of normal people that we know that absentee vote, that are stationed overseas, that have absentee voted for several years. So, and I can tell you the name of the first absentee ballot request that we get every year. And she was the first one
This year too.
this year too.
Are we
She
gonna
lives in
be,
Australia.
are we gonna be able to place a poll worker at closed precincts?
I have not looked to see how many people we would need for that, but I mean,
I know, like, talking to Marty, his wife was willing to station herself at the city building of Williamstown to give directions, but she did not want to work the polls itself. I know that we would like to have more locations, not less. Once again, the fear level is 5 polling places with approximately 6,000 to 10,000 people trying to vote will make this it could make the election different. And we don't want anybody to get turned away because they don't want to stand outside and wait that long to get in. I know the places that you have scheduled, some have interior corridors so you can mark out the 6 foot. But it sounds like you went after, with the ballot commissioners, the number of people you needed based on 5 polling places.
correct, with the number of people that had already replied yes that they would work.
Mark, if you have any question, a voter has a question where to go, where their poll is now, do you have a phone number that they would call, a central phone number?
Just 304-424-1860.
1860.
1860.
We get that on our website.
It's on our website. It's also on govotewb.com.
Does the 911 operators, do they have that number?
I honestly don't know, sir.
That would be a good place to,
Why,
those people.
but that would be a
That would be a non-emergency. I hope somebody would call 911 to find out.
It'll be an
I
emergency on
guarantee
election
people will
day.
call.
They're not allowed to do it.
They'll call it anyway.
They let them call it, but you're still not allowed to do it.
Just telling you.
Yeah, I think we'll make sure that Rick Woodyer and his staff is fully aware, but we would encourage people not to call 911 for non-emergency, and instead call the newspaper and WTA.
Thanks.
All right.
Personally, I think people to call is the clerk's office.
Yeah, let's have him call Celeste.
County clerk, I mean.
She's already voted absentee.
we'll probably take down, Chris, our main web page with the Mid-Ohio Valley Health Department order live stream and put polling places. You've got the help wanted rolling. Sue for at Wood County WD.
We've only got, what, one attendee on the thing? So we could probably make that not a problem.
Those are the two that are rolling.
Any medical, anything medical.
Chris did put the schedule and everything on.
Underneath your head.
I get eye drops and stuff.
We can move that to the front page.
Yes, I can have the slides ready again.
Yeah.
Just we want a map with the
Have it long
location.
enough they can read it.
Yeah.
Doesn't our insurance pay for that too? There's always a plus, you're right.
I used to read
Read
that.
that hand to hand.
It's worthwhile, I put $2,600.
Huh?
Then get Pam in here for the census.
All right, yeah, thanks, Mark, for the update on the election. Pam, we can get her in here for the update on the census. I'll tell you some things off record. He didn't look for. Hey Pam, what's going on with our census? Are we leading the state
Yes,
in response rates?
yes, still.
Yay!
Um,
Good news for Wood County. We lead the state in a positive way.
yes.
Of course, the state is only 14%,
Well, the state's at 47%.
47%.
We're at 65.9%. And to add to the good news, not only are we leading all the other counties in the state, but our rate is currently just below our 2010 total, which was 67.6%. So that's quite impressive. However, keep in mind that 67.6% is still a third of the population that wasn't counted. So well, we want 100, but we're doing really, really well. Enumerator operations have begun in some areas and are scheduled to begin in West Virginia in the next few days. Individual counties, communities, and law enforcement will be informed as this begins, and I will make sure that they were. If not, I will inform them. Personnel will have IDs, census mark laptop bags, and at this time they will also be wearing masks and gloves and so forth. And they will leave the questionnaire in a plastic bag on the resident's door if they have not received a questionnaire and responded. There will not be any attempt to interact or engage with individuals at this time. So they will not be actually physically knocking on your door and expecting you to come to the door. And that's because of the COVID-19 regulations. I've got a lot of phone calls. I've got a few things here that are being asked. One lady asked if she was getting census forms for 2 pieces of property she owns, but no one lives at the second one. So obviously you just respond for the occupied property, otherwise you'd be counting something
She
twice.
wouldn't respond for anything for the.
No, I told her to put on the form, because she'll keep getting forms, I told her to put on the form for the second piece of property that I've already responded at my primary residence and there's no one living at this address, so they won't keep bothering her. They've also been asked about college students. Since the college students were sent home from school and they're at their home, do I count them here? The answer is no. If your student lives on campus during the school year, which would include April 1st, they're supposed to be counted where the university is, not where the residence.
Do people have problems with some of the answers on the forms?
I haven't had any questions about the
What's our percent?
We currently, as of today, we're at 65.9. West Virginia's at 47, the nation's at 49.5, which is 76 million people. And our final
What's West Virginia?
West Virginia is 47. And in Wood County, in 2010, the rate was 67.6. So we're pretty close.
One more, back on the college students.
Yes.
Say that again, what you
Okay.
said.
If a student lives on campus in a dorm or an apartment, during the school year, which would include April 1st, they're to be counted wherever that is, Morgantown or wherever. Not at home just because they were sent home because of the virus.
That really inflates the population of that town.
It does, but keep in mind, our Parkersburg Correctional Center, our holding center, all those institutions where those folks came from, wherever they came from, are being counted in Wood County. So it kind of balances out. And if you're in a nursing home here, but you're from whatever, if you're here on April 1st and your bed is in a bed on that date, then you're counted here.
That used to be the concern that would come up for absentee ballots,
Mm-hmm.
that nursing homes would get a stack of them and someone would just fill them all out.
Well, and after our last meeting, and Bob had asked the question about the institutions and the homeless, I did reach out, and apparently what they are going to do is they will be contacting those entities I gave them addresses for, and then it is up to the officials at that location to determine how they want to handle it. So presumably they may be making them out for them, they may talk to them individually, they may try to help them do it online, whatever, but they will do it according to how they want it to be done. So they won't actually be going over to like the homeless shelter. They'll just get the census forms for the folks there, and then the officials there will decide how to handle that. So, which is, they know best how their people work. I want to remind everybody again, because there have been questions again, the data is protected and it is confidential. Federal law prohibits your responses cannot be shared with law enforcement, immigration, or housing. And please make sure you count foster children in your home if they were there on April 1st. If your kids' friends are living at your house, you need to count them. If they were there on April 1st and they sleep at your home regularly, they need to be counted in your house. Same thing with relatives, friends. That was another thing a lady asked me, well, what if there's a lot of people who have been laid off and they're living in rental property at no charge because a friend's letting them live there? If they were there on April 1st, then they need to have that as their residence. And if you can still respond online, you can still respond by mail or on the phone, and then they're sending out a lot of questionnaires. They began mailing them out in mid-April if you haven't responded yet. And if you have already responded, complete and mail back the form as soon as you receive it, and you still have the option of the phone and the mail. And a lot of people are calling and asking me, well, what do I do if I can't use a computer, I don't have access to a computer? They should be receiving the form in the mail if that's the case. You can, let's see here, I get reams of stuff every day on this because people keep asking different questions. Everyone living or staying in an address, even if they are not a member of your family, should be counted by the person filling out the form for that address. The census ID is a 12-digit number on the form, on the questionnaire, the letter, and the postcard. You can still respond if you don't receive the letter or the paper questionnaire. Go to 2020census.gov and select the link that says, if you do not have a census ID, click here. And then you can do that. You can do it that way. The phone number is 844-330-2020. And again, they're asking you to be patient because of the COVID virus and their staffing and space regulations and all those issues. Sometimes you may not get even a voicemail. It may just ring, 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 and no one answers, or you'll get an answer machine. So just keep calling. I can't tell you anything else. If you're unable to respond online, you can call that number, take the census out of the phone, and then you should get your paper questionnaire if you did not do any of the above. Foster children should be counted at their usual residence where they live and sleep most of the time. If you're not sure, count them at the address of the place where the child was staying on April 1st. All children, including babies, should be counted, even if the parent does not live or sleep in the same address. So, again, The usual at residence is where the child lives and sleeps most of the time. Again, if you're not sure, if they're there on April 1st, they need to be counted. And then what I just said about the students living away from home at school should be counted at school, even if they are temporarily elsewhere due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So we're just trying to address issues or concerns as they come up.
I would say copy all the
And
Charleston elected.
we also have
Calvary Chris.
a link on the Wood County Commission's website that has all the updated information, the phone numbers and everything. Chris is posting that as I give it to him,
Sewer,
so
water,
you can
electric.
check that as well. If
Telephone.
anybody has any questions.
City of Parkersburg working with you on the same.
Yeah, City of Parkersburg, Vienna, Marty has helped with Williamstown. They've all been wonderful to work with. But some of our things got a little out of whack because we were gonna, for instance, use the library computers, and of course the library closed. So some things that are reopening, we're trying to catch up. We've been doing a lot of. I was scheduled to speak several places that didn't have meetings. So I just sent out through social media, and then it was sent to their members. So
You have a robust committee. Everybody that's serving on that committee should be applauded. They are delivering on their mandate, and but this whole situation has really put a spotlight on the lack of broadband coverage in areas of Wood County. And so we just now have a letter from a resident of Washington, West Virginia, whose internet service is no better than dial. And I believe that coming out of this epidemic, we'll see broadband become more regulated like the public service it is. So water, sewer, electric, gas, all these things are public service and regulated by the PSC. I gotta believe that broadband has to fall into this category. And I know Senator Manchin and Capito tout all the things they're doing. Doddridge County Commission has kicked in, they're flush with cash, $1 million to study broadband in Doddridge. And they've partnered with CityNet. But this goes back to when I was very first elected. There was all these broadband grants, and all they did was study. So the maps that, not Frontier, but Verizon did, yeah, Verizon, FiberNet, all these guys, but Verizon got the contract and was supposed to produce a map of broadband access. And if you look at the federal website, it looks like we have it 100%. We don't.
I talked to a guy in Waverly that called in to complain last week, and his son is taking classes at WVUP, and they have dial-up modem. That's all they have. They're up in Pumpkin Knob. That's all that's available is a dial-up modem. And he said it's so slow.
So you can't make Suddenlink run cable TV somewhere. And that's how you get inter broadband, is through your cable TV provider. You can make it your broadband provider, not by cable TV. But the force of having to have all these kids at home, hell, some of them don't have a computer, let alone Wi-Fi, let alone cell service. You know, everybody complained a long time about Belleville being no cell service. I get that. But now, when I would get really hit, someone would complain to me about cell service, and I'd ask them, do you have water? And they'd say, no, I took water. So, do you have electricity? Telephone? We really need to see about. Oh, I would.
And the other thing too, and it's not an issue here, but some of the smaller counties, this is really, I don't forget what year it was, we did the 911 addressing where we all have every
Oh,
parcel
yeah.
has a street. Well, there are still a lot of counties that haven't done that, and they don't have street addresses. So a lot of them aren't getting the census, and so the census workers are having to go to the post office to try to figure out where these people are, because all they have is a rural route or a P.O. box.
They have box numbers.
Yeah, well, some of them do, some of them don't. And it's
It's like that.
really causing problems in the smaller towns, the more rural.
What happens if somebody's traveling? You said April 1st, is that a key date?
It's just a way of showing that you're there.
But they are
Most of the
counted
time.
if they live in an address, even though they're traveling, say they're on a
If
sales.
that's their home,
Carol Jones.
Then
yes.
they're counted.
Yeah, like for instance, if you're registered to vote there,
And they went
or
through
you
the
list
list
that
and
as your
said, we
primary
need to have
residence, then yes, you would
75
still. Being someone who stays somewhere else for their
Do you
job.
stay in a
Hand select.
hotel?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, they would
Follow-
yes,
follow
definitely, at their own residence would be the.
I understand if we're on the edge of losing a delegate to
On election
Yeah,
day,
well,
they say
a
we-
representative.
Yes, a representative, in the House of Representatives, we
I'll
could
send you
lose
a
one of our
commission
three,
letter saying that I found
representatives if
5
we
polling
don't get
places to be
numbers that,
wholly
you know, so, that's why it's so important, and some of the
Send it
counties
to
are
the clerk,
really,
the
really low.
ballot
I was
commissioners.
talking to a lady from Ritchie County this morning because she's concerned that they're not getting their stuff in, and the people live so far apart. When I spoke to the CEO clubs,
careful about
one of the
starting
ladies
fires.
there happened to be
No,
from
it was
Ritchie County,
election.
so she's been calling regularly to ask
We're gonna
questions, and then
have-
she's giving information to her neighbors and stuff to hopefully help them out. So we're helping them too.
You don't
Could
have
you
lines.
get us a list of your
Their lines everywhere
committees
now.
and we can send them a thank you?
Yeah,
letter?
Sure,
And
yeah,
This is
I
all
can do
over.
that.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Pam. You did great.
Thank you.
5 polling places. I asked him how many poll workers he was gonna have. And then I asked him, well, it doesn't sound like he called everybody. He didn't call my kids. And he said, well, we work with the ballot commissioners to call. So that's Carol Jones and whoever Dems are. But I believe they said we need 50 on each, and they just picked up the paper 50. 10 poll workers per early vote location. Those 10 people that work the early vote over here, how much will they get paid, Marty?
I don't know. I'll have to go back and look, I don't know, it's,
Well, so they start,
they're part-time employees, I think.
right, they
is
go
what it was.
8:30 to 4:30,
Yes,
8:30, 9:30.
yeah, the only difference is that on
12:30,
Saturday, they're
1:30.
mandated to be there longer.
8 times 5, 6,
I
11.
think they're over 12 hours on that Saturday. Yeah,
My moonshine was smells better.
that's, smells like an old tire.
Oh, I tell you, the
That
best
smells like
is,
rubber.
the best smelling was Bob T. December. 12, okay, so wait, it's gonna be 8 times 11 days,
88.
Smell
88
that
hours times 12,
Yeah,
1,056,
got pumped a few times.
plus election day, plus training. So a poll worker who works early vote through the duration
The ones that go
will
out.
probably get paid a little under $2 million. And any increase in expense from prior year is reimbursable.
And it's probably gone on. Would be my guess. They had before.
One, Joanna Jump. Don't forget that name.
That was before they were giving $600 worth.
Now. It'll blow up on election day. I don't think we'll be able to, you know, I'm begging to open up additional polling places, and he is not interested. And calling up Carol Jones won't amount to anything.
What makes you think that?
She's already hostile with us to begin with. But we did give her unused chair.
Say that, come on, you gave her a chair.
Hey, we're sorry Celeste turned off your key card. Sorry, not sorry.
What we're gonna do is fireman.
We have 4
911
names on 911. Who are they?
Chief Mike Piper representing the city of Vienna, Steve Stevens from the Wood County Sheriff's Department, Luke Peck from the Work County Commission, and Jack Horton from Media.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Unanimous. Or it must smell or something.
Like a rubber smell. What's that?
You brought your-
Not that.
Start working with.
It's not that, I can tell you that. A little better. Still not great. but a little
That
better.
apple, whatever.
No, it's,
Better than a few minutes ago. Woo.
We need to find one of the Bath and Body Works hand sanitizers to dump in there just to
That's right.
make the smell better.
I don't know if you could improve on that one. I don't think you'd help it. Unless you dump it in a gallon.
I was wondering if you dump some, like, peppermint or something.
Anything like that would help it.
Would make it worse or better.
Anything else? You want to
No,
adjourn?
just to let you guys know, we opened everything up. Every building is posted with maximum occupancy. All the electeds were contacted as far as what they wanted us to do or not do.
You have a copy of the posting is
I
what
gotta
you
use
use
that.
out. You cannot come in if you suspect that you have.
Well, we've got signs on the door that says stop. If you have any of the following symptoms, please don't enter the building. The judicial offices, the Justice Center, the Black Annex, and this side of the Black Annex and the Shaver Annex, by order of the Supreme Court, you cannot go into those buildings without a mask.
Do you have a copy of that stop that I might have?
Yeah, just stop over and see Mandy, she'll pick you up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got to print something for you.
Yeah, it's just common sense. If you have a fever or
Sure.
everybody seems to be. I probably wouldn't come in today if it hadn't been for that, but everybody seems to be taking it in stride, and I don't think it's an accident that West Virginia's got low numbers. It seems like everybody's
Right.
playing along. You know what I mean?
That's what the governor said too.
It really does. I mean, I noticed there were a lot of people with masks, and like the guy that wanted me to sign the plat, he backed right off, and so they're keeping their distance. Trying to keep the employees safe, trying to keep the public safe.
I'm not surprised that the people at New York are now traveling to Florida, getting the hell out of Florida, out of.
Yeah. It's
I wouldn't go back to New York.
very strange time, as I found out this weekend, like the funerals and stuff. It's just very strange. You can't get, there are none. I mean,
You're having a funeral.
we're not. I mean, we're not, it's-
Where you would not be allowed to have too much, would you?
no, you could only have 10 people in there, but who's gonna come? It's just not. So times have changed, so we're probably gonna have a graveside service of some type, and then we'll do a virtual thing where the family can attend that way if they want. It's just different times. I mean, we're still not taking any reservations for park shelters or renting rooms, and don't intend to until the governor opens up playgrounds and stuff. Because we can't,
Can't sanitize.
even if we opened up the playground, we don't have the personnel to sanitize it after each kid's been on there. We have, one thing I mentioned Blair before the meeting, we are starting to have a vandalism problem up at Fort Norman. Somebody busted one of the big lights that shines up in the flag last week, and then over the weekend they tore up 2 picnic tables. So we are reviewing video footage and hope to get the culprits.
We have trolls up there.
That's
City do anything?
I don't know, Bob. I don't know. We'll mention it to them, but it's kind of like that, I think this is kind of like that syndrome where you throw a piece of trash in the bleachers and everybody thinks it's okay. It's like, you know,
We only have one car in each district, so it'd be awful hard to have them station anything.
yeah.
Even the sheriff's office, I mean, they're,
Well, we've been working on getting cameras on the entrance and exit, but you know, maybe kids coming in different way, we don't know. We'll catch it.
But that's how it used to be.
I had the wonderful occasion to witness a person get hit by a car head on last Friday.
Wow.
Down by the dollar store on Division Street, or 95. Big, heavy-set guy. A car going my direction had just passed this guy, and he darts across the road in front of another car coming my way. This guy's in the air, all fours. His head hits the windshield, and he's laying on the ground when I get out of the car.
Good Lord.
Get up there. I said, "You been drinking?" He said, "A little beer." He didn't feel anything, I don't think.
Wow.
And he's laying there, his legs this direction, his foot's out like
Legs
this.
akimbo.
And the ambulance guy said, I believe you have a broken leg, sir." And I said, "I know he's got a broken leg."
We might want to review
They
whether or
didn't
not
even keep me
take
for a
this when we
witness.
have one person.
I mean, it's a horrible thing to see
I think
somebody
we
hit
need
by
to-
a car. This guy's like this up in the air.
I think we leave the white
Like a
speaker
dummy.
and that,
Yeah.
and just tuck it down underneath. I think your Yeti microphone, we just have it on hand.
Well, I mean, if this spikes back up and we start closing things down, we're gonna need help.
We'll move back over. But anyway.